let's talk about keeping your paper white in watercolor. I'm Michelle Manriquez from Drop That Brush, and I want to help people who are non-artists become artists. Like, subscribe, and ring that bell, please. So, in watercolor, and this is really hard for people who have come through from acrylics and oils, the white of the paper is the white. No matter how you put Chinese white, it will never look right in watercolor paper. So it's important to learn how to preserve the whites. And Miskit is my last choice. But so I'm gonna give you some ideas to help you so that you don't have issues. Number one, put water around the shape. And then just outline it. That's it, it's not that hard. If it's something that's reasonably good sized, it's so much easier. No reason to spend your time putting the stuff on, cleaning it up. Ugh. The other one that I do all the time is I have a tissue paper or a paper towel and I go, whoop, paint gone. So if that's an area that was supposed to be white, it's so simple. Just recognize that that is a white area. Go, pop. Another thing is, it doesn't really need to be white, and that's a design issue. We're going to talk about that in the next video. Number three, use a acrylic flat brush to pull out lines. Now, if it is something with light values or not phthalo, you can probably get them almost white. If that doesn't work, you can always go to the next step and gently use some magic sponge. That works too. That can actually bring even phthalo up somewhat. Phthalo and Alyssum Crimson do not come up for pretty much anything. So where you are gonna put your phthalo, make sure if you're wanting whites, you may actually need Miskit for that area. But it's really unusual because normally it'd be a light and a dark and, you know. I would try all these options before I go to using Miskit. Frisket, Miskit, all this stuff, they resist the paint. So you can paint over on top of it and it doesn't put paint underneath wherever you paint it. But if you have a bubble, if you didn't do your line perfectly where you wanted it, of course it goes right over where it doesn't belong. It's been a problem for me. You can take your fingers and just do that and it'll pull it out. If my finger is dirty, I consistently have things in my hands that are just, because I'm playing, so it's not a good thing for me. I use a little rubber, I'll put it on the, I have no idea what it's called, it's a remover. And they work pretty good. They're great. I have no problems with those. But it only works sometimes. Is the bottle fresh? Is it been, you know, I'll get out there and look to see what they would do. They're saying someplace between 3 days, you better get that stuff off, to 3 months. I don't know. You know, but you know, personally, I think you got to probably get it off because you would not know how many pictures I have destroyed based upon leaving it there and assuming it would be just fine. Nope, not a good idea at all. All right, you saw my main choices. Once in a rare while, it's just easier. The stamen of a flower, I think it's easier to at least get the little head of it, not the stem. The stem I can just pull out. If you have a million little pieces and then everyone has to be softened, it's a pain. So I suggest you do the head of the stamen and then I just pull out the rest of it. It's easy enough to do. That's my take on it. I'm gonna do another one that requires a lot of splashing, and it's very important because it means something, that the white is the white. And so for that particular painting, I actually will use it, but it's really rare. It's not my favorite thing by any means. So you will see me using it. That's the reason I'm doing this video, because I'm thinking, well, I should explain it, I guess. I really don't encourage you to use it. It's so much better not without using it, but there are times that it can be helpful. The white of the eye, if you're really having a hard time and you absolutely cannot, you keep hitting that, putting paint on it no matter what you do, that would be a nice spot. All right, there's many different kinds of this. There is masking flu pen, there is Frisket, Miskit, there is drawing gum. What's this one called? That's liquid Frisket. Now, oh my God, okay. And here's the problem. I only use it so rarely that by the time I get to using it, that's what it looks like. They're all dead. And I just kind of hang on to it. And because I have a trick, and I'm going to show you, almost worth watching the video because this is a cute trick. They only last, 3 to 6 months before they kind of get nasty and they're worthless. So if I've made 3 eye pockets, I spent $10 to $15 for just 3 little places. And so to me, it just is expensive, and why bother? I had to get a new one because everything else was dead. I probably should be throwing it. And here's what it should look like. And we're gonna use this in the demo. When I use it on my paper, and if I blow dry too hot, or if I leave it in the drawer and come back to it, it doesn't come off. It's just stuck. You're done. You've lost that painting. I mean, it really makes me mad. Or if it does come off, some of it will and some of it won't. You'll immediately have an issue. So that doesn't make me happy. The last thing I don't like is everything that you masked out, I now have to soften the edge. It's a very stark color and it looks yucky. So I have to soften the edges, and I don't like that. So there's a whole thing. Again, I use it only if I absolutely have to, as little as I can. And you know, I'll use this for the next 2-3 videos, and then this one will die too. All right, so there are a million different ways you can put it on. A brush, I could put on the top of this, a little stylus, can make it drawed. Here's something else you could use. You know, here's another thing. I've done twigs. The newest thing that I learned is a ruling pen, and they go up, and it can make beautiful lines, and they can be kind of chunky lines or just fine, beautiful lines. That's nice. But if I need a whole bunch of stamen lines, left, right, this way, this way, this way, I then have to clean all that up. And it's a lot of work. And personally, I want to do my painting, be done, and go to the next one. You know, I've tried it. I just don't like it. This can be blue, or this one probably would be clear if it wasn't, you know, gross. Bad, huh? Like I said, I have not had a good luck with this. I'm just showing because once in a while I will use it, and sometimes I just wished I didn't, but we'll see how it goes. Maybe this time it'll be all wonderful and happy. We'll see. Let's preserve your whites, and not with this, but I'm going to show you how to use it anyway. So we're going to talk about preserving your whites. Miskit, sometimes it's called Pebeo drawing gum. I've had issues. There's a reason why I don't really use it much, and you'll probably see in this no painting, but I am gonna use it a little bit. So I got this. Number one, you never shake. It's a roll movement. You don't want to shake. If you shake, what you'll have bubbles, and the bubbles then will have problems. I have this one, and I don't know if you can see it. Hold on, let me pull it out. It's totally dead. Totally dead. And it's a whole bottle, and it's like $15. Expensive. So, another reason why I don't like it. So, all right, but you know, everybody thinks, cool, I can keep everything white, that I want white. That sounds cool, right? Huh. There was always something that you should know. So I get my brush, I paint it, and you know what? It destroyed my brush. Well, that won't do. Then I went out and I looked on the internet and they said, oh yes, you must dip on a piece of soap. Okay, I did that, and I still destroyed a brush. Now I'm wanting these little itty bitty things, because I don't do big things. If I'm going to go around this petal, I just go around. But if little itty bitty things are a problem, so I'm like, okay. Well, that didn't work. Also, when I worked on one with these, I found out that I had blown it too hot, and then it wouldn't even come off. What normally happens, it will just peel off like this, and it just peels off. If your fingers are not clean. If not, they have this little thing that will peel it off, which is great. But sometimes I put it on too hot, or it was in the drawer for 3 years, and suddenly I wanted to paint on it again. Oops, that didn't work. That was all a problem. I'm liking all this. This is not working. So then I got a really cheap brush. Here's a problem with cheap brushes. There's always something. Like, okay, here's a cheap brush. Does it have a point? No. Can you see? It doesn't actually have a point. It just does stupid things. And so I'm over here and I rolled it gently. Okay, I'm opening it up. I definitely do not want to put my nice brush. So I got a cheap brush and I did this, which is great. Except for I had a hard time getting in the lines. So that didn't work very well. It's like, okay. So I'm doing it. And then I couldn't hit the lines very well. But I like this one because it's blue. Some of them are clear and you can't decide if it's on. Now watch, I could do this. This is kind of nice. But again, I have absolutely no control of that brush. Absolutely none. Well, so that didn't work very well. I wasn't thrilled about that either because people were getting these beautiful, beautiful lines. So I'm rinsing it a lot. You also kind of destroys your water. So, you got to go change your water. It's just a pain. So, okay, cool. I'm still not liking this stuff. I got a nice brush. It still can destroy your brush if you're not very, very careful. So if you've got a nice, I actually do this. It has soap, water. I dip it here, make sure it's really soapy. I do that, and then I make my line work. And I can make my line work here. Okay, and maybe I can get a line work, but you gotta soap it again. Okay, you guys see all this? So, soap, line work, and that gives me some line work. Okay, that's lovely. All right, now clean, 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 clean. Has to be absolutely perfect because it will be gone. And then water and clean and clean and clean. All right, well that did work, but occasionally I still destroy my brush, which I really didn't like that. I decided it's much easier. I am much better off. See that leaf? I can just go around, put some water around it. I'm not even being close. I'm just kind of sort of. And then I'm going to get some color and simply go around. Ta-da! Much easier, much easier. This is what I would do. So I would, you know, and I want to show you what the difference is. There's a reason why I'm taking the time to show you this. All right, so, oh, I just dumped it in the, that wasn't good. Didn't mean to put it there. Clean that really good. Okay. Now that has to totally dry. I want to get an edge on this. I'm going to go ahead and paint around it. Something, and there's a reason why I'm making sure that you know how to use it, because I actually will use it for something coming up. Oh, that's lovely. That works. I found something new. I wished I know what the name is. I will get the name, and you can open it up. If you can see, there's a screw. See right here? And it will open this up, and there will be some paint you can put right in the middle, and it will give me line work. And it's kind of interesting lines, not totally boring lines. Now see, I like that. It's a much more interesting line work. So if I was gonna do, say I had a few line work trees, I think that's a much more interesting line work. So, and they have different sizes. I'll get it on the link. I like this because it looks more like not quite as, there's a name for it, boring. This is a boring line. This is a fun line. So that matters. Other way, I think it's nice. And what I'm going to use it on this next painting is just little dots. And I want dots in different spots. So I'm going to, and I like that because some are small, some are big. Here's what else you can do. Say I've got little shapes. I'm gonna let that dry. I'm gonna put it on it. Now here's what's gonna happen. It's gonna lift a little bit. So it'll be very light, but won't be such a hard edge. Now I'm gonna blow dry and we're gonna see what happens. And this does take a while to dry. I just blow dried that. You can see I came back through and it's still, this is all, so I have to wait. But I'm gonna do this and I'm going to make that shape. And I'm gonna let that dry. I'm gonna see if I can pull that out. Now see, I don't know if you can see it. I just push, and what it does, what you see, is it pretty much takes off the line work. I'm gonna go ahead and throw some color here. That has to be totally, completely dry or this doesn't work. Just FYI. So if I mess up, then I may wind up doing this again, but I don't think so. And you can kind of see, and it allows you to really put the darks in without fighting it. See, that's a tree branch or something. So let me blow dry that. This time I'm gonna use this, particularly if it's a bigger area, it's easier. Now I have this very hard line. See, when I normally paint, I put a little bit of this here. And I don't know if you'll notice, as you're watching, you're gonna see me, as you see me paint, I always put a little bit in. So I get this very, very hard line. Every time, because it bugs me, and you can see it's not a nice straight line. See, I was able to really do a nice straight line. So what I'm gonna have to do, and what I do is I come back through and every piece is cleaned up. Because I don't like that really hard line. To me, this is a lot of effort for nothing. So, you know, something to think about. So I could have put in 3-4 layers down there, which is kind of nice, you know. This is me with a regular brush. Now, everything's hard, and that's the issue I have. I think that looks very funky. So every single time I gotta go over here and fix it. And it annoys me, basically. So I'm gonna have to, okay, all right, okay. I soften it, and then I have a nicer line, because that looks really weird. It looks weird like in a dog or whatever, it just looks weird. That has a better, interesting shape, but it still requires softening. Did I get everything off? So a couple things I could do. I could just put color on it, and that will soften it. See, I don't like hard lines. Ta-da! It does calm it down. So you get a soft edge and not a hard edge. You can go around and paint it around this. I will almost always have somebody who's brand new at watercolor who will then put a whole bunch of that on there. And I'm like, oh, you gotta pick that off. It's really difficult. I wanna get some color here because I wanna show you what I'm gonna do with the flower. For the flower, I want this really deep kind of tone. And then I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna make sure it's pretty dark. Maybe a little darker. Let me blow dry. So if this is the center of a flower, and you have those little, what are they called? There's a name for it, I can't think of it. And you can see it just is this hard edge. So I don't want to soften all these. So I'm gonna throw in color. And I know that there's gonna be some, and I'm kind of just sitting it over there because that way it don't hurt anything. You don't really see it that much anyway. Like there'll be a little shape here and it'll be a little darker. It's a little darker here and it's darker here and it's darker here. So there was some shading. Now what I'm gonna do is, we have all these little itty bitty stamen. I think these are called stamen. And I'm gonna pull it out. I would not do the entire, some people do every stamen. Oh my God, I am just so not that interested in doing stamens. So I would do this, and maybe this goes this way. And I make it very light. And because your stamen isn't gonna be, if I wanna work it out a little bit, I can work it out. So, I could have one here. The darker it is, the more you're going to show. And the inside will be very dark. So I didn't want to spend a lot of time. So I do the shapes. And then I pull out some information so it says, I'm a stem, look at that. But I don't do a million little lines because it's hard, and who wants to? And if I really, really had to, maybe this was my main, I might just use a little more color and I would just go in between. Say, okay, this guy's important. I will make him a little more important. And I could come through and do a little of that. It's just a stamen. All you want to do is say stamen. That's it. So that's what I'm going to do for my next painting. If you have any questions, let me know. Now, you've waited all the way to the end, and I've got a secret to tell you. I have something that fixes it. It's gross, like really gross. And it's dead, and there's nothing, and it doesn't move. So this was somebody told me, and it does work, but there's no real recipe. Using ammonia, a few drops, and stirring it up will bring this back, which is why I keep all these. it dies anyway again, but you know, it's just kind of the hassle, so I just bought a new one. But it was a cool idea. It does work. I've done it. It works fine. And I just keep putting drops in until I can mix it up and you can see it moving, and it moves more like Miskit. So that's your bonus fun thing you should learn how to know. And it's cheap. It's like $2. I hope I gave you good information. I hope you understand that Miskit is not my favorite thing. And that there are many other ways that are much better to use your paper and white. But if you need to use it, long as you understand the downfalls of it, it's all good. So you know what? Push this away. When you're doing your work and you have no idea what you're doing, just drop that brush, like, subscribe, and ring that bell. And you know what? I hope you have a wonderful day. Take care. Bye.